انت في وزارة التأييد؟ وزارة التأييد فيها أكثر من 3 مليون مصري.
تاني من فضلك.
كل شارع في مصر وزارة طالعة تأييد للرئيس الأرض مبارك. واحنا بنقول احنا اسفين يا بابا، احنا اسفين.
If there's a guarantee that the next president of Egypt will be chosen by the people.
It was like a war between two kinds of media. The media which is owned and controlled by the government and the media which is controlled by the people or by the activists.
I didn't have a Twitter account before the revolution. I actually am kind of fundamentally opposed to going around documenting every little move you make. When the revolution happened, I realized that there were some pieces of information that you could not go without like having a Twitter account or a Facebook account.
Some 30 journalists and photographers active in the Arab Spring came from 8 Arab countries to discuss the way forward in Cairo, Egypt. Free Press Unlimited was asked by local partners to join the assessment of the problems that journalists face. How can social media and mainstream media learn from each other in order to supply the Arab world with better, independent information?
أولاً جهاز الموبايل حتى لو أنت قافله ممكن الشركة اللي بتقدم الخدمة تبعت شحنة كهربية كده زيادة شوية تشغل.
هذا في تونس عادي، نحن كل ما نجتمع اجتماع سري، اجتماعاتنا كلها سرية، نفصل البطارية عن الوحي. عارفين جيدا أنه السلطات والنظام.
احنا في عمون نشرنا مادة الأجهزة الأمنية طلبت شطبها وإحنا رفضنا نشطبها، اخترقوا الموقع وعطلوه.
Now the citizens can say what really happened and to be professional and to say the truth and what really happened more than the professional journalists.
But is it reliable, social media?
Well, you can choose, you can analyze, you can have your own trusted people to follow, and this is the situation on Facebook and Twitter, that I am following on Twitter the people I trust, and I can guarantee that he is really saying the truth.
You need not only the young people to make the change, but you need the traditional journalist also to be able to catch up and to exchange. So the young people who've been working with the internet, who've been working with the fast new media, have to learn more perhaps about the traditional media, the traditional skills of traditional journalism, and the other ones need to learn more about the new medium.
Pictures of dictators on the streets of Cairo. Their presence is a dark reminder of the stagnating battles in Yemen, Syria and Libya. Mubarak and his NDP building are burnt, but authoritarianism and repression are not defeated yet.
We broke the first barricade in this place, and then we started to walk towards Talat Harb. The effect of blogging on the press was very important. For example, Khalid Saeed, if the guy just died from torture, it would be a small article in a newspaper. But because of all of the pages that was created for him, attracting hundreds of thousands in a really short period, you made it hard for the press to ignore it.
The flood of information from the social media had an enormous impact on the revolutionary squares of Arab Spring 2011. Egyptians grew taller at least an inch during the ousting of President Mubarak, observers said. Months later, Egyptians have shrunk again under the enormous challenges ahead, economically, politically and socially, to solidify change towards democratic life.
There was a point where I called a friend who used to be a source. I met him in a journalistic perspective. I talked to him and he's like, do you know that there are people here who are on daily wages who haven't received any money for about 3 weeks and are basically begging in poverty and they haven't been doing this. So that day I decided to take 2 days off from the epicenter of everything and start branching out. And I think that's where that's where I started feeling my responsibility as a journalist.
Now that Street Revolution is over, from where do you get your news stories and how do you sell your pictures? Nina Berman and her internationally renowned colleagues from Noor Photo Agency, Stanley Green and Alexandra Fazina, discuss strategies for generating fresh angles and alternative ways of telling in-depth stories which delve way beyond the headlines.
أنا صورت العنف، صورت ضرب الرصاص، صورت القنابل، صورت كل حاجة. يعني بننقل خبرات، اتنقل لي خبرات كتير من ناس كتير. يعني حاولت أفهم الفرق ما بين العين العربي والعين الأجنبي وهي بتصور. يعني هما بيشوفوا الحاجات بمنظور واحنا بنشوفها بمنظور تاني. استفدت منهم ان انت، وده اكتر حاجة اثرت فيا، ان انت ممكن في نفس الوقت الناس في المظاهرات، وده كان العيب اللي انا كنت بعمله، ان الناس انا كنت بصور الحدث.
I've reached the point where I need to just space out my thoughts and try and think about things differently to understand everything happening better. So that's what these workshops do. They help you gain perspective by talking to people who have experience doing what you're doing and doing it in many different contexts.
Journalists need to use the increased space for freedom of speech to solidify press freedom, organise themselves better, work more securely and professionalise their work. After a week of training and heated discussions, the participants decide to formulate a declaration with recommendations for progress.
Hands up everybody who says that this is actually what we discussed yesterday and agreement. I see all hands.
بيكون مهم إنه المؤسسة الصحفية دورها إنها تتحقق من صحة المعلومة وتشتغل عليها، مش بس إنها تاخد المعلومة أو الفيديو من وسائل الإعلام الاجتماعي.
ضرورة إنشاء مؤسسات مستقلة للرصد والتدريب حول الانتهاكات والمشاكل التي يتعرض لها من يتعامل مع الخبر والصورة والفيديو.
This is my blog. Here there is some videos from Elminia, Dawadia village. It's a small village next to the mountain, and they're trying to speak about what happened in revolution, what is their dream, what they want. I thought this is important to put it on my blog because I don't believe only the internet can change something. You should go to the people offline, and you will give them your experience in internet, and you will take their experience in the real, in life. I think this is together will make a difference, or will it change something I want to change.
Social media made the revolution. The next battle is with ignorance and radicalism. We go to Higher Egypt because the revolution was only made by like 20 million Egyptians. We still have 65 million Egyptians that didn't.
The second point is our declaration. We translate it in Arabic and English. We will use the ITF network to reach out to these syndicates throughout the Arab world. And we invite you to take your copy of the declaration and present them at home to your media institutions, your colleagues, to invite them to also sign the declaration.